I don't think the human race will survive the next 1,000 years. There's just too many accidents that can befall life on a single planet. But I'm an optimist. We will reach out to the stars. This is a quote from Stephen Hawking in an interview back in 2001 with the Daily Telegraph. And in today's last and final speech, we will be going over space, into infinity and beyond, and why it's important for humanity to travel to space, and how it's the next steps necessary in advancing human civilization as we know it, and that mankind needs to start either now or never. I know that traveling to space is a topic that is debated and discussed often amongst scholars and scientists, and is very controversial. I, though, as someone who is just a regular civilian, think it's something that needs to happen sooner rather than later. We human beings have been venturing out to space since October 4th, 1957, when the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, released Sputnik. It was the first artificial satellite to orbit the Earth. And then on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong was the first man to take steps on the moon. These are both two events that happened less than 1,000 years. And that should show you right there that we are barely at the tip of the iceberg of what is space, and that space travel is the new frontier, and how a lot of people believe that developing and researching space can not only improve our education, but as well our jobs, technology, privacy, security, and as well our artificial intelligence robots. And aside from that, then there's those who think that life on Earth is limited and that it is a ticking time bomb and we are running out of time. And so with all those into place, I think that space travel is necessary and a greater good. Many people fear space, I think, like the ocean, because of the unknown. It's deep, dark, full of mystery, vast amount of area with no oxygen, and we never know what's lurking in the shadows. But we never know until we go. Until then, it's just a guessing game. We're just filling in with our imagination what's out there. And humans are driven to explore the unknown, discover new worlds, and push the boundaries of our scientific, technical limits, and then even push further. That right there is a statement from NASA on why we travel at all to space. And just figuring out why we're here, to make sense of it all. I think a lot of answers are in space. And then there's those who believe that with the Big Bang, there's a possibility that we're also not alone. The galaxy is infinite, and there are many planets. And with those odds and statistics and that type of algorithm, the chances of extraterrestrial life are a lot higher than there not being. And even the National Security Agency, NSA, has recently had to discuss and release statements on documents from our government that have recently been declassified on aliens and UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And then also this year, our Pentagon has released a statement regarding video footage from 2001 on a Navy ship. And they had to state that in there was an unidentified aerial phenomenon 3 years later after this sighting. And it makes you wonder what other sightings are factual. Are conspiracies about Area 51 real? Are abduction stories true? And their possible probing real, And it just makes you wonder about all those horror stories we hear, and what does space hold? And then, other than those crazy sci-fi ideas, then there's the ones that are actual factual and we do know are out there, like asteroids, solar flares, and space debris. Both can cause or pose potential threats to civilization as we know it, either taking out satellites, taking out cities, causing earthquakes, tsunamis, and these are all things, if we don't just take the time to do now, it would be one step forward and multiple steps backwards. And that's why it's a good idea now to start figuring out a plan B, being safe rather than sorry. And though it might be expensive and there's always the couple months out there, would actually be years here, I think that those are all consequences and risks that we should be willing to take. And that developing into space as a species is our next major step, and even beyond going from our galaxy. There's so many unknown dangers and risks out there in space, but we as a world need answers. There's pieces of the puzzle that we're missing, and they might be out there. And humans have the technology that we've dreamed of for years now, and it's finally giving us the chance to travel to the universe and be amongst the stars. So what are we waiting for?